Koinant, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. Now, there is a very disturbing little SMS that has been doing the rounds in South Africa for the last couple of days, and a lot of people have drawn it to my attention. I don't know its credibility, but it's really more the thrust of this SMS that I want to talk about. Okay, and it's deeply concerning for minority groups like white people, Indians, Asians who live in South Africa. Because unlike Bantu who came in from Zimbabwe or Mozambique or Botswana or Nigeria or Somalia into South Africa, the white South Africans have got nowhere to go. You know, South Africa is their home. I'm going to read you the message the SMS that was sent out, and it's doing the rounds. It's really just gone totally crazy. And it reads as follows: "We are giving you a month to pack all your bags and leave South Africa, whether you have working permits or not. Just wait for us to vote on the 8th of May. Then on Monday the 13th of May, we will close the roads, stopping all taxis with every foreign national will be dealt with accordingly. What happened in KwaZulu-Natal are just highlights of what we're going to do on the 13th of May. We are kind enough to give you more than a month time to pack yours and go to your own countries peacefully. We will stop all cars, taxis, buses, trains. We're going to enter workplaces, contract sites, security sites, searching everyone. Anyone found without South African ID will be dealt with mercilessly. It's been long. We sent out our request to the government, but it seems our request has been ignored. Now we will deal with it our own way. So please be warned and do as I say and save yourself and your families. Do not say we didn't warn you. Pack yours and go back to your countries. We don't want any queries anymore. We are tired. Enough is enough." Now, as I said, I don't know the source of this SMS, but it's doing the rounds on a number of platforms, and it's, as I said, it's the thrust of the message that is incredibly concerning, because you know the bravado of these black African thugs is getting bolder by the day, and they see the elderly whites and the female whites as soft targets. We've seen this in the farms, we've seen this in home invasions. They check out things and then they go in, and I won't even talk about the unspeakable things that happen. A lot of that's already been said on YouTube. There is a genocide going on in South Africa. That's the bottom line. Now, about a month ago, I told the channel that I was endeavouring to get hold of Fraser Anning, who is one of our members of Parliament here in Australia. And after much emails backwards and forwards, I've now been put in touch with his media person. So we're now actually talking, and I will keep you informed. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to have an interview, put a video together with Fraser. He is very pro-white South Africans, and he's been hammered in the mainstream media in Australia because of his stance. He's a really nice guy. I knew him when he used to be involved with One Nation. That's 20 years ago now. All right, guys, look, as I said, I'm just putting this out there because if this SMS does have teeth, at least people have been alerted to the fact that this message is doing the rounds. Related to that comment about the SMS that's doing the rounds, and I mean, I presume it is a fake, so please don't take too much notice of it, but just be aware it's out there. What isn't fake is the xenophobic attacks which are happening now all over South Africa. We're talking about black-on-black violence, and basically the locals attacking foreigners who've come in from the north and running businesses or living in some of these townships. And there's one particular example of that, and I'm not going to show the photos because they're pretty gruesome, but I'll put the link below the story so you can, if you really feel you have to. They're disturbing photos, okay, and it just shows you what goes on in the townships right now in South Africa. Okay, so this happened in Johannesburg. He checked the series of stills on his camera. It was then that the photographer, James Otway, realized the entire attack had taken less than 2 minutes. It was the morning after a night of unrest in Johannesburg's Alexandra Township that saw foreign-owned shops looted and destroyed. Mozambican Emmanuel Sitoli was walking down a street when 4 South Africans surrounded him. Sitoli pleaded for mercy, but it was already too late. The attackers bludgeoned him with a wrench, stabbed him with knives, all in broad daylight, and Otway had captured it all on his camera. They looked like hardened thugs just by their intensity, the way they moved, the expressions on their faces, Otway told CNN. They wanted the one thing, and that was to kill Emmanuel. They wanted his blood, and nothing was going to stop them from doing that. I'm sickened by it, Otway said, and I'm extremely angry that the man that they did this to, and ultimately I'm upset that our efforts weren't successful in saving Emmanuel's life. So the guy actually did pass away. Otway said he tried to get as close as possible, conscious that the attackers were aware of his presence. When the attack started, I was 20 meters, 65 feet away, but at one point I was 4 or 5 meters, he said. I did think that maybe they would leave him alone, but they didn't. The attackers finally did move on and leave Sitoli alone. Otway and his fellow journalist, Beauregard Tromp, quickly put the injured man on the back of their car and rushed him to a hospital where he later died. I still remember him looking straight into my eyes, said Otway. He had a kind of dazed, shocked look on his face. Otway's series of images of the ordeal landed in the front page of South Africa's Sunday Times under the headline, Kill Thy Neighbour. Alex attacks brings home South Africa's shame. It's a shame that South Africa continues to confront. 7 people have been killed in the latest round of xenophobic violence against poorer immigrants, many from South Africa's neighbours. Local media allege that attacks were a consequence of Zulu King Goodwill Zwelithini reportedly saying at a recent gathering that foreigners should pack their bags and go because they are taking jobs from citizens. Shortly after his reported comments, violence against immigrants erupted in the port city of Durban. Now, we've covered that. But on Monday, Zwelithini said that he had not called for a war on immigrants. This war I am calling for today is to protect everyone of foreign origin in this country, irrespective of which country they are from. The United Nations said the attacks actually began in March, after a labour dispute between citizens and foreign workers. But it was Otway's photos of the violent attack on Sitoli that have seemingly encapsulated the true horror of the situation, and South African leaders have begun to take notice. Terrible picture. People who live in a rough township have never seen such a scene, said President Jacob Zuma about the photos in a televised news conference. And I was sitting and I was saying to myself, what are we telling the world about ourselves? Well, that's a huge porky pie, Mr. Zuma. I have seen some incredibly disturbing photos of the results of violence and necklacing on black violence. And they make these photos look like something out of a storybook. They fail into inconsequence compared to what I have seen. The torture and the terrible deaths that some people have faced when it comes to xenophobia. It is just shocking. Police announced that they've now arrested all 4 suspects. The last caught overnight on Tuesday with help from Otway's photos, which is a little solace for the photographer who captured a level of depravity rarely seen. "I'm sickened by it," said Otway, "and I'm extremely angry with the men that did this, and ultimately I'm upset that our efforts weren't successful in saving Emmanuel's life." Now, what I find interesting, now, I always talk about fake news. This article, which I'll link below, comes directly from CNN. And you'll notice it's black on black violence. This particular fake news outlet do not touch black on white violence. And I talked about necklacing earlier, which happens in the townships. But when you look at what the blacks do to the whites when they're in their farms or when they're in their farmhouse, it is just depraved. It is ugly. These are really evil people. And yet the fake news, CNN, does not cover black on white violence because it does not suit their narrative. Please remember to subscribe to be kept informed, and have a great evening.